Hey, it's Gregory Iron. Real quick before we start the show, just so you know, in this WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2 honest thoughts, I will be also talking about the Hall of Fame, but I'm doing that exclusively on Patreon in an extended version of this episode. So if you want to hear my thoughts on the Hall of Fame, and they're pretty candid, go over to patreon.com/ironandwrestling, where also this week you'll get a free episode. More details in the podcast. Enjoy!
Initiating podcast download. Prepare yourself. Put on your spandex. Lace up your boots. Wrap your wrists. Hide your razor blade. Head to gorilla position. Grease up your hair. Apply baby oil. Okay, apply more baby oil. Get into gimmick. Keep your ears open and your mouth shut. Have fun and be safe out there, brother. Welcome to I'm on Wrestling. Now your host, Gregory Iron.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Iron on Wrestling with Gregory Iron. I'm your host, Gregory Iron. This is episode 289. Feeling so divine. I don't know. I didn't want to say fine, so I said divine. That was my rhyming word. Good to see you. Hope you're well, and hope you're, you're not in too much of a comatose state from a whole week, maybe just the weekend, maybe just a day or two, I don't know, of the WrestleMania weekend festivities. There was a lot of wrestling on the television, and I'm sure if you are listening to this show, you enjoyed some part of WrestleMania, or you at least tempted to watch some part of the WrestleMania festivities. We're going to get into some of those things, particularly on this episode. We're going to talk WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2 and also the Hall of Fame. However, right off the top, I want to let you know that while I will be also talking about your thoughts on WrestleMania, as well as a plethora of other things, including Sabu's final match and my thoughts on that, the AAA acquisition, and a variety of other current news topics. I'm going to do that free of charge over on Patreon this week. So if you haven't signed up for Patreon, check it out. Patreon.com/Iron on Wrestling for a buttload of bonus content. The bonus content usually starts at the $3 level. So if you enjoy this week's free episode, you will, if you, of course, sign up over on Patreon, you will love to take the opportunity to go to the $3 or above level. $3 gets you bonus audio going all the way back to 2019, extended episodes. So even if you listen to a free episode over on the regular feed on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download podcasts, you, of course, will get an extended version in some cases. The episodes drop a day early over on Patreon. You can get bonus videos starting at $5, behind-the-scenes footage of some of the stuff that I'm doing in my daily life and some of the videos I'm creating. $9, you get your subjects picked if you have a particular subject you want me to talk about on the podcast, but also, more importantly, you get to get involved in a live chat with me, which I'm going to attempt to do this Saturday. Don't hold me to that because my life is hectic, not as hectic as it usually has been with my injury. I just burped into the mic, but yeah, I'm going to try to get a live chat going on this Saturday. So if you guys at the $9 level are interested, make sure you send me a message. I'll send you guys a message. We'll see what's going on. Go up and up and up in the tiers. You'll get stuff in the mail every quarter. Guys, if you are a part of that $25 and up tier, you should have probably got at this point. Some of you are still waiting on it, but the thing that I've been waiting on, a wrestling buddy, that's right, an Aaron Bauer wrestling buddy. He's usually in the building for the podcast. Of course, he hasn't been here for these past few weeks because I've been hurt. But now he's in your building if you're on the $25 and up tier. Shout out to JD over in Washington who got those buddies made for me. Love JD, great guy, great wrestler. And yeah, if you ever need a wrestling buddy, hit up JD Mason on Facebook. And what a human being he is. He's also little sneak preview for you, a little inside scoop. Sometime in the near future, I'm going to have, courtesy of JD, my first ever action figure. That's right. A very, very limited action figure. I think it's only going to be limited to something like 25 or 30, but they will be a real thing coming to life, and I'm so excited about that. We're talking, card backing and all that good stuff, so stick around. I'll keep you posted on all the updates with that. But again, if you want a bonus episode where we'll talk about more than just WrestleMania and the Hall of Fame, go over to Patreon, sign up for the free tier, and we don't drop free episodes all the time, but we're going to make an exception because it's a fun week of professional wrestling, and I want to make sure that I answer your guys' questions. I want to talk about your guys' thoughts and feedback on WrestleMania, and I think that that's going to be the place to do it. But in general, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Hall of Fame and WrestleMania, and then we will expand upon that over on the free episode on Patreon. So if you don't sign up, you're missing out, you son of a bitch. Okay? Now, before we get started about WrestleMania and the Hall of Fame, just an update where I'm at. Not much has changed. I'm I'm still in a sling. I'm still hanging out at home and still doing my thing, still writing. Took the weekend off because of WrestleMania. But as soon as I'm done with the podcast today, I'm going to get back in the saddle again, and probably the next 3-ish days straight will be me writing, which has been incredibly therapeutic for me. And speaking of therapy has been incredibly therapeutic for me. And, considering that I haven't worked out in like 8 weeks now, you would think the body dysmorphia would be setting in more for me, but it's really not. I think I'm in a good mental place. I wasn't so much yesterday. I was having a moment, but I feel better now, and maybe it's because, I'm having this outlet of talking to you via the microphone, and I know that I'm going to be writing today as I record this on Tuesday. What'd you think of the Hall of Fame? Let me know on social media. You can send it my way at Gregory_Iron on Instagram, on X, Gregory Iron, Facebook.com/handicappedhero, or you can send it to the @IronOnWrestling social media accounts on all of those social media platforms that I just provided. Hey, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2. And remember, if you want to hear your thoughts on the event, you got to listen to the free version, because this is about me today, okay? Fuck you, motherfucker. I just bleeped myself out. We'll be right back on Iron on Wrestling. Hey. Come back here. Come back. Hey. We're supposed to go this way. Yeah. This way. On the health and wellness journey, you're straying off the path. Okay. Hey, I'm not judging you. It's fine. You're going to do that every now and then. But maybe I'm not the guy to talk to about this if you're going to do that, okay? Maybe you need to talk to someone like Mike at TNT-Health.com, because he's okay with you sometimes straying off the path, okay? He knows that we're not perfect, but when you go to TNT-Health.com, they're not expecting perfection. See, I can't even talk. That maybe I should talk with Mike more. They only want 70 to 80% of results because they know that sometimes you're going to want to have a cheat meal. You're going to want to have some snacks, maybe go a little bit over the macros. But you know what? On top of the supplements and the results that Mike will attempt to sell you, which, he's going to sell you a couple things to get you started. He doesn't want to give you like a $300 to $500 bill every month like someone at a GNC might try to dump on you. Mike wants to actually help you track your macros, your nutrition. He wants to help you get you in the best shape of your life. He also wants to get you started on stuff like fat burners, muscle building supplements, protein, pre-workout, pro-hormone, post-workout, everything in between. I like using the vanilla organic protein powder over on the website. You can mix it with anything. When I do work out, I use the creatine beforehand. For post-workout, now that I'm doing a little bit of movement in my arm and it's hurting a little bit, even though it's in the sling, I've been using the glutamine to make it a little bit easier on my life, muscle recovery. TNT-health.com has everything you need. It's free to look, but if you buy anything, save 10% with our promo code IRON. That's IRONON. Save 10%. So what are you waiting for? Go to TNT-health.com because the TNT Health, it's about your health today, not tomorrow. You know, in this business, if you meet one person that you can call a true friend, you are a rich man. But it's even harder to meet someone that you can call a good buddy. But this individual that I'm about to speak on, he's been a good buddy to a lot of people. He's done a lot of great things for a lot of people. And I feel like he's cultivated a whole community of good buddies. I'm talking about the one, the only, Juan Ortiz of the Dead Designs. For nearly 20 years, 2 decades, Juan Ortiz of the Dead Designs has created artwork for some of the most prolific figures in the sports entertainment industry. We're talking about the likes of, Seth Rollins, who can be argued as the top guy after winning the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. The Undertaker, who could be argued as, one of the greatest wrestlers in the history of the company. Hulk Hogan, who some could say that he's maybe told the truth before about something, anything, who knows. Juan Ortiz has created artwork for people in WWE, TNA, New Japan, AEW, Ring of Honor, and I'm probably missing some promotions. He's made artwork for me, which I appreciate very much. He can make artwork for anything, anybody, whatever you want. I'm sure he has limits, but considering some of the stuff that Aaron has pitched to him, as long as you're paying him, he will do it. And, speaking of pay, you're probably thinking he's kind of expensive, considering the type of clients he works with. No, he's affordable. In fact, he's going to get even more affordable because when you mention Iron on Wrestling, he's going to knock $20 off your first design. Yeah, $20. That means you can get an alpaca to sniff your mustache on 4 different occasions. $5 for an alpaca to sniff your mustache, $20 off of any design from Juan Ortiz. Wow, 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 wow. What are you waiting for? Contact Juan Ortiz right now at Of The Dead Designs on Instagram, Facebook.com/OfTheDeadDesigns, or go to his website, ofthedead.weebly.com, because Of The Dead Designs is bringing artwork to life. All right, welcome back. Let's talk about WrestleMania Night 1. First of all, I love a good video package, but I was not really a fan of the opening video package, and I think it's because of the voiceover. Dana White. I don't know. He talks really loud. Like he's talking loud, but also reading off of a script. And it just didn't seem as organic as some of the clearly written video packages in the past, right? I mean, good imagery, but, this will not go down as one of the all-time great video packages for me. And I apologize if you hear drilling in the background as this is happening, because I don't know what the fuck is happening outside as I record this podcast. Opening match of the show, Jey Uso versus Gunther. I gotta say, I was great with the result. I figured Jey Uso would win the championship, and I love Jey Uso as a character. I feel like he is incredibly compelling. I think he proved with his promo with Gunther when he got very serious this past week that, that's why we fell in love with Jey Uso, right? He has the ability to emote in a way that gets people invested. And, of course, Yeet was the thing that put him over the top and created an even deeper connection with a lot of the fan base. There have been internet backlash since the Royal Rumble on Jey Uso. that was not very present within this stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. I wasn't a fan of the structure of the match, but the match itself got the job done. Again, I don't work there. I would have put some different things in some different places. It was a weird match for Gunther. Just I think structurally it was weird for Gunther. Maybe it wasn't a bad structure in general. I didn't mind the tap out finish as well. I think he tapped out pretty quickly. I don't have a problem with any of that. I just feel like had I structured this, there would be some things in some different places. We didn't get a bunch of super kicks, which I think is sometimes a crutch that Jay relies on, and I'm okay with that too. What was it, 2 or 3 splashes going into the finish with the spear and with the choke out, which told the story going back to the Jimmy Uso choke out a couple weeks ago. I was okay with it. Again, structurally, meh. This will not be a match I go back and watch, but what a moment. And it was a moment that we deserved. It was a moment that Jay deserved. And, of course, this was a moment that was further solidified by the reaction of the live crowd on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, which we will talk about either here over on the bonus episode over on Patreon, which is free. So sign up over on patreon.com/Iron and Wrestling. New Day beats the Viking Raiders, or the War Raiders. What are they now? Yeah, they're the War Raiders, right? Match was fine. I have no problems with the matches. It's good to see Ray Rowe, good friend of mine on WrestleMania. New Day becomes 12-time tag team champions. Again, cool things were happening in this match, but I don't know if this match was anything outside of what I could have seen from the New Day and the War Raiders on Monday Night Raw. But I'm glad they all had spots on the show, and for Kofi and Xavier to be 12-time tag team champions, more than anybody ever in the history of the company. And I think Kofi technically has more than that. He might have like 13 or 15 or something when you consider what he's done with, Punk, Evan Bourne, so that's at least 14. I'm probably missing one. Jade Cargill versus Naomi. This match, again, was fine. There were some sketchy moments from Jade Cargill, for sure. I need to mention this. I liked the sound of Naomi's new music. It sounded way less generic than what we usually get, but I don't know if it suits Naomi. She seemed really into it. If you didn't hear it, it was like some crazy metal song. I don't know if it suits her, but perhaps maybe incorporating it with her look and everything, maybe it's something that will grow on me. I'm trying to think of someone who had like a weird entrance that maybe didn't suit them that grew up. Like I would say Billy Kidman off the top of my head. Like Billy Kidman coming out to the hey, hey, you can run if you want to, but you can't hide. You remember that rap song? But I don't have it all. Oh, I'm a lunatic. Yeah. Like it was a good song, but like I don't know if it suited Billy Kidman at first. But then it just grew on me. I don't know, and like then it was just Billy Kidman's song, and I was okay with it. I'm rambling, but standout spots from this match. Naomi looked like she murked Jade Cargill with a X Factor from the ring apron to the floor. That was kind of crazy. And like when I say that, it was like she pulled her out like Randy Orton DDT style. Boom, X Factor. And Cargill was impressive, catching Naomi a couple times off the top rope for some stuff. And, again, something you just can't teach or that people don't teach enough in wrestling school is like when you could do something with like legit power, that's going to get a good pop from the crowd. And Jade catching Naomi suplex style in the air from her jumping from the top rope, super impressive. The power bomb that went into Jade's move, that was the sketchiest thing of all. I mean, whatever. We got to the finish, and I don't think anybody was hurt. There were some awkward segues into some things, but all in all, I think it was good. Now, for me, this is where WrestleMania started to become WrestleMania as far as matches. Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight. I got to say, I didn't think it going into it. I thought it would be fine. But these two had some chemistry. Jacob Fatu and LA Knight brought out the best in each other. And again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Sometimes Knight has a look on his face of like, I just started pro wrestling. I love him. I love his promos. I love the things that he does in the ring. But sometimes I just see him thinking, which is weird for someone that has been doing it as long as he has. I see it. I don't know if you guys see it, but I can see it in his face because I'm a wrestler and I know these things. Jacob, there ain't no holes in his game. He fucking rules, man. What a good dude. And he is getting everything he deserves. One day after his 33rd birthday, he has this match with LA Knight. And crazy that Jacob's only 33. I thought he was a little bit older than that, about my age. But nonetheless, some crazy stuff in this match. If you didn't watch WrestleMania, watch the end of Jey Uso and then skip to Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight and then watch the rest of the show because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. It ends with Fatu hitting Samoan drop off the top, a couple moonsaults. I think Haku jumped the guardrail because he didn't come in the ring or anything. So I'm pretty sure that was just a thing that he did. And who's going to stop Haku, right? Like, that's crazy. I think the match was sick. I thought for sure Solo would play a role. Solo came to the ring. I thought my prediction was Solo does something to cost Jacob the win because this is the second reign for LA Knight. And, you know, he didn't really get to do anything with the first. So now perhaps maybe LA Knight is back on the chase. I don't mind the titles getting flip-flop a little bit every now and then because not everybody can have a long title reign. I think I've talked about this before on the show. I think when Triple H came into power, he sort of established long title reigns for basically every title. So that way, I think when they started losing the belt, they had already created meaning. And they're not like flip-flopping without meaning. There's always seems to be a plan in place for the title changes. So I think that also minimizes whatever disagreement you might have about flip-flopping a title. If there's meaning behind it, I don't think, LA Knight was like something like 40-some days. I think it's okay. He'll be back on the chase or he'll move on to something else and he'll be fine. I don't think anybody got hurt in this match. El Grande Americano defeats Rey Fenix. Of course, Rey Fenix was a replacement for Rey Mysterio, who unfortunately got hurt the night before on SmackDown. Of course, earlier in the day, AAA was announced as a partnership with WWE, that WWE bought AAA. They had Vikingo at ringside who kicked El Grande Americano at the start of the match. And I thought that was going to lead to actually like a quick win for Rey Fenix, which I was like, oh, please, God, no, don't do that. Because I was really hoping for a banger between Mysterio and El Grande. But we actually got a pretty back-and-forth contest. And, dude, Chad Gable. I'm pretty sure that's Chad Gable won the match. Chad Gable hit a reverse 450 splash, which was fucking insane. I just... This dude, I'm so glad he's getting the opportunities he deserves, even if he's doing it under the guise of a ridiculous lucha gimmick right now. Whew. They almost dropped the ball hard, especially making him Shorty G and all this bullshit. Good on Chad Gable, because I cannot wait. I cannot wait until Chad Gable becomes, and I believe this, Chad Gable will be a main eventer. And he's going to have some fucking banger matches. Especially let's, I don't know if it's around the corner, but like right now with Jey Uso as a world champion, I could see a Chad Gable, Jey Uso promo. God, man, just the sampling of like Chad Gable and Cody a few weeks back on SmackDown. Chad Gable is a main eventer through and through. He's this generation's version of Kurt Angle. We need more Chad Gable. he ends up putting the gimmick in his mask, the metal thing. We have Phoenix run the rope, kick him in the head, and hurts his foot, which leads to Gable going to the top rope with the gimmick in his mask. Boom. Headbutt with the metal under his mask. 1, 2, 3, he wins. I think there's a lot more to come between Phoenix and Chad Gable. And like Phoenix, what a lucky guy, right? People, again, because they don't know how wrestling works, on the internet are like, wow, they already buried Phoenix. No, dumbass. He wasn't even scheduled to be on the show. Okay? I think Phoenix would have rather been on the show and lost than not been on the show at all. And listen, he was given an out with the metal under the mask and everything. He will come back and he will be fine. And I think we have only seen just the beginning of what they're going to do with Rey Fenix. I really think that bringing guys like Phoenix and Penta, who I think had probably my favorite match, one of my favorite matches in AEW was the steel cage match with the Young Bucks. I think there's a bright future for luchadors in WWE, especially when you consider this partnership with AAA going forward. Tiffy time. Charlotte Flair. The build to this was weird. The most emotional investment came in the promo that we talked about with Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte. Charlotte kind of interrupting Tiffany that face-to-face in the ring, and, Tiffy basically saying, like, she's 0-3 with marriages, all that good stuff. No need to recap all of it. Then they did, like, the fan cam assault outside of the building from Charlotte to Tiffany, and yada, yada, yada. It was interesting to see where this would go. I didn't hate this match. There was some clunkiness, there was some awkwardness, but I don't think that necessarily makes for a bad match necessarily. There were some awkward moments for sure. There were things that were a step off. Sometimes it seemed like Tiffy her placement might have been a tad off, and it seemed like Charlotte got incredibly frustrated. I also feel like, and this could just be me overanalyzing, but it seemed like Charlotte was not giving the best assistance for Tiffy to do some of the things that she was attempting to do. And so I don't put the blame necessarily on Tiffany for that. That's a Charlotte decision. It seemed like Tiffany got her ass kicked, and in the end, of course, she ended up winning the match with the prettiest moonsault ever. All in all, again, I was fine with this match. Just I don't know if I want to see them do this again going forward. They got through it, right? They got through the angle, they got through the match, and now we can move forward. And I think, what we're going to get out of this match as far as like what we'll remember, it'll be Tiffany's entrance with the Barbie entrance and, 3 different Barbie dolls. She comes out of the middle. Yeah. But nothing really terribly to write home about, but I don't think it was a bad match. Main event, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, 3-way, Paul Heyman in the corner of CM Punk. Punk, of course, main eventing his first WrestleMania. Seth Rollins got a little bit of a special entrance where he came out in a black gimmick and he started doing the blowtorch to the WrestleMania entranceway. Burn it down, get it. And lights went out, changed to a white outfit, kind of cool. Roman Reigns, a little bit different gear than usual. He was wearing a white glove instead of red, white boots, or they were like Jordans or something. And then, of course, the CM Punk entrance was cool. Not only did we get in living color doing a live performance, which, of course, they did previously at WrestleMania 29. It's good to bring that back again. But we also got a little bit of a throwback with this Fire Burns before the initial entrance. A little video package where his OG promo from 2006, where he talks about his only addiction being wrestling and competition, they segued that to Punk now, 20 years later, saying the same things. Very cool, very poetic, basically telling stories like, hey, it took this guy 20 years to realize his dream. Very, very cool. Start of the match, Roman does not give the Ulufala to anybody, but sets it in the corner because obviously he doesn't have his wise man. Action quickly went out to the floor, which was, a little bit of an Attitude Era throwback. I can always appreciate that a little bit. So we got Punk and Rollins going out on the floor. Roman ends up meeting them with a big dive over the barricade, taking out both guys. Eventually, they end up getting back in the ring. Roman was in control for a little bit. Punk at some point gets over on both Rollins and on Roman, hitting a couple of his signature jumping knees in the corner, following that up with a DDT and neck breaker combo. Rollins took a lot of an ass kicking in this match for the majority of it. At one point, one of the bigger spots was Doomsday Device from Reigns and Punk. Punk coming off with the clothesline part. That was followed by Rollins almost stealing a victory with a frog splash while Punk and Reigns trapped inside the Anaconda Vice. At some point, which I think they did it back at Triple H and Rollins at WrestleMania 33, but Rollins nearly beats Reigns with a spear, or I'm sorry, a pedigree, while Roman was going for the spear. I think at one point, one of the sequences too was like the go to sleep into a spear, into a curb stomp. It was, it got pretty crazy at certain points in the match. We almost get to see a Shield reunion of sorts, where Seth is calling for the assisted powerbomb on Punk. We think Reigns is going to do it, but he turns on Rollins. Reigns ends up putting CM Punk and Rollins both through the table. Blah, blah, blah. Eventually, they're all down. Heyman makes his presence known with a steel chair. Who's he going to give it to? He ends up sliding it to Punk. Reigns is not happy. Heyman gets in the ring, which, now you know something's going to happen. Like, why is he in the ring, right? Punk raises the chair, low blow from Heyman. Roman is very happy about this. Chair is delivered by the wise man to Roman. Heyman points out, hey, look, there's Seth Rollins. He's prone. It's the Shield moment. We can get him. Rollins is selling up on the ropes with his back turned. Roman is wielding the chair. Heyman's still in the ring next to him. For a second, I was like, is Roman going to crack Heyman with the chair? Roman moves Heyman to the side. Heyman ends up dropping to his knees and gives him like a low blow with some stank on it. Turns his back on the wise men, essentially ending the nearly 5-year story of the Bloodline, which is crazy that it took this long, right? It begins really at, SummerSlam of 2020, and now here we are in April of 2025. And not only did we get one of the best stories of all time, but we got one of the best stories of all time with the definitive ending. This was it, right? Because, War Games happened between the two bloodlines, but there was really no stipulation that, hey, this other bloodline has to end. They just kind of stopped calling themselves the Bloodline, that bloodline being Solo's bloodline. We got the exchange of the Ulufala from Solo to Roman. But the last piece of the puzzle, the last connection to the Bloodline, was Roman's association with Paul Heyman, and now that's over. The chair is handed off to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins ends up assaulting Roman Reigns. He ends up assaulting Punk. And then, of course, he delivers the curb stomp to Roman Reigns, beating him in the main event of WrestleMania 41 and beating him in the main event of WrestleMania 10 years apart, because he did the same thing when he cashed in the heist of the century at WrestleMania 31. So, all in all, I thought this match was a +++ triple threat match, and I had no doubts that it wouldn't deliver, but I felt like, man, with no stipulation, no title, is this main event worthy, right? Is this like there was nothing to hold on to other than the Paul Heyman factor, and the Paul Heyman factor became enough. And as I think, if I'm correct, this is one of the only non-title matches to end a WrestleMania. It's very few and far between. Of course, you had the tag match of WrestleMania 1. You had, let's see, the tag match of WrestleMania 40, obviously. The Lawrence Taylor Bam Bam Bigelow match at WrestleMania 11. Shawn and Taker at WrestleMania 26, which I think was the right decision, all things considered. Rock and Cena 1, which was, that wasn't for a title, right? Was that for the title? 2012? Yes? No, yeah. Yeah, no, it was not for the title. And then, so that was WrestleMania 28. I'm doing this off the top of my head. This is how pathetic I am. And other than that, yeah, those are the only matches. And now WrestleMania 41, no title on the line. And I think it delivered. I think it really delivered. But I was kind of like somewhere in the middle of WrestleMania Night 1. WrestleMania Night 2, I think, was better. But there are some buts involved, right? Let's get into WrestleMania Night 2. You know, over the years, there have been a lot of talk about if the best match at WrestleMania to open the show of all time isn't Bret versus Owen at WrestleMania 10, then what is it? Before WrestleMania 41, I might have said Daniel Bryan versus Triple H at WrestleMania 30. And I think you can make a strong argument for Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 21. But I think, and it might be too early to call, but the best opening match in WrestleMania history that isn't Bret versus Owen may be Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair versus Io Sky for the World's Women's Championship. These three women killed it, especially considering that just a few weeks ago, Io was not even the champion. Some say that she was being forced into a situation where instead of it being Bianca and Rhea, they were forcing Io into the match. Going into this, she was booked as the third wheel, but that kind of made me believe that Io was going to be victorious in this match with the build. Like, this is the one we're underestimating, and this is the one that will inevitably win the match, right, and retain the title. They told that story in the opening with Io getting a flurry of offense on both Rhea and on Bianca Belair. They quickly went to the outside with Io getting a springboard moonsault. Belair and Ripley double team Sky at some point. They sent the champ into the barricade. Ripley tossed Sky in a razor's edge directly at Belair, which looked gross. Momentum swung back and forth between the three women. At one point, Belair hit a 450 splash on Io. Ripley broke up the pin. Belair hit the Riptide for a 2 count. Ripley went for a Riptide on Sky from the second rope, but Sky countered with a Rana, which was awesome. Ripley got her feet up to block an over the moonsault, sending Sky crashing into Belair, who hit a KOD for Ripley to break up the pin. Ripley countered out of the KOD. Belair countered out of Riptide and whipped Ripley with her braid and hit the KOD as she went for the pin. Sky came off the top rope with an over moonsault to pin Belair and retain the title. This, of course, was after Ripley sort of sent Sky into the ring post on the top. And, man, what a finish. What a fucking match. These girls killed it. And, like I said, name me a match. If you could name me a match that is better than this one, that isn't Bret and Owen, please tell me. And I don't think you're going to name a match as far as opening WrestleMania that is better than this if it doesn't have Bret, Owen, Eddie, Ray, Brian, or Triple H's name in it. There's going to be some people that might argue Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor versus The Miz. I don't think it's in the top 4, maybe 5, but it's not in the 4. And I think this triple threat is in that top 4. Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest in a Sin City street fight. The brawling started right away on the outside. Great, by the way, entrances I thought were really cool for this. They incorporated Doom into Drew McIntyre's entrance, which was a sponsorship, which I'm sure Drew got a little bit of a kickback for that. I think his outfit looked much cooler than the Viking Raiders outfit the night prior. Damian Priest had a nice little entrance with the guitars from Slayer doing his thing. I'm sure that was a dream come true for Damian Priest. As far as the street fight goes, I think it was a basic street fight, but I think that's all it needed to be. It was the gimmick match of the weekend, and I don't think they had to go crazy, and I think they had a nice little story going into it, especially when you consider the story goes all the way back to WrestleMania 40, the year before, when Drew McIntyre essentially lost the championship by Damian Priest cashing in after, Drew got a little bit cocky and was showboating towards CM Punk, which, by the way, they opened WrestleMania 40 last year, Seth and Drew, and maybe you could put that in the top 10. But again, I don't think it was better than this three-way. I'm rambling. I really enjoyed that girls match though. At one point, Drew McIntyre grabbed his cell phone while he had Damian Priest down, took a selfie. Following up from a tweet last year saying "still bored at work, LOL." McIntyre set up a pair of tables under the ring. We figured that would probably come into play later, which it did when Damian Priest went for the old school, walking across the top rope, and Drew pushed him to the floor, which ended up leading into the finish. There was some other stuff with like Priest hitting a chokeslam to counter a second Claymore kick with the chair still around his neck, which was kind of cool. He didn't do the sit out with it, but I understood the situation there. Some back and forth. Priest launched McIntyre through a table with a razor's edge. McIntyre fought back, gouging Priest's eyes, hitting a future shock DDT on the ring steps, which was pretty gross. But of course, after they did the shove to the floor through the two tables, McIntyre put Priest's head between the top turnbuckle and the second turnbuckle. There was a chair in there, and he ended up Claymore kicking him, sort of sandwiching his head between the boot and the chair. Pretty legit finish. 1, 2, 3. Drew McIntyre wins. I thought this was a good match. Very enjoyable. Exactly what it needed to be. And Drew needed a big win here. I don't think he would have suffered by getting a loss, but Drew has taken a lot of losses that didn't hurt him. I don't think he needed another loss on such a big stage. I think this is the one that he needed to win, and they did the right thing. There might be more left in the tank of Drew and Damian Priest. We'll see what happens going forward. Intercontinental Championship 4-way, Braun Breaker, Finn Balor, Penta, and Dominic Mysterio. This match was nonstop. Braun Breaker is a fucking beast. Everybody looked good in this match. I can't say anything bad things about anybody. It was pretty chaotic, but, my prediction for this was going to be Dominic Mysterio. I thought there was going to be some dissension with the Judgment Day, which there was, and ended up at some point Dominic finally decided, I want to win this match, and he drop-kicked Finn Balor to the back, went for the 619. Finn was like, what the fuck, bro? Grabbed him, stomped him, and, he ended up paying for that. Who ended up getting him from behind? Was it Breaker? I don't know. I don't have the results in front of me, but needless to say, it goes on a little bit longer eventually. Dom goes up to the top rope, taps to go for a splash, gets crotched by Finn. Finn does his thing with the coup de grace on Penta. Dom comes in off the top while that's happening with the pin to break it up and get the pin on Finn Balor. My only thing, while I enjoyed this match, it's the same basic finish that they did in the three-way to start the show. Why we did the same finish almost back-to-back, I don't know about that. But irregardless, I think it was a very entertaining match. Randy Orton's Open Challenge, who was it going to be? I figured whoever he was going to face, he needed to win because I predicted that because it was in St. Louis, Randy Orton would be challenging whoever was the champion, presumably John Cena, for the championship at Backlash. There was some scuttlebutt about perhaps maybe Rusev or Aleister Black. I even was saying day of Sami Zayn. I thought it made sense because he was in basically the last couple of years, he was in one of the main matches. Him and Gunther last year, him and Kevin for the tag titles in the main event the year prior. But no, I did not say his name, and yet he still appeared. But I believed in Joe Hendry when he made his way to the ring for his match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania. This match was exactly what it needed to be, like 3-ish minutes long. Hendry got his important shit in, which was basically him turning and smiling. He got a little bit of an offense. He tried to get a choke slam. Randy Orton, was like, "What are you trying to do, bro?" Poked him in the eye. Which also, look, going forward, I know that Joe has sent out on record that he has a lot of it. And Joe isn't a small guy, but he's not a super big guy to where his finish should be a sit-out choke slam, right? And I think they kind of showed it how it's almost its absurdity with him being in there with a guy the size of Randy. And in general, it was what it was. There was a couple RKOs, and of course for the finish was the Joe Hendry doing his pose RKO. So they zoom in, RKO, pretty perfect finish for the match. Randy mocked the Joe Hendry pose afterwards with his own pose. And, it was fine. Joe is not going to lose anything from this. And if you think that he is because he's the TNA champion, I don't know. You're dumb. I heard Meltzer saying that, oh, well, they didn't put one of their guys in their position because they didn't want them to be hurt by losing to Randy Orton. Yeah, because, dumbass, Joe Hendry is not on the active WWE roster. I think if you look at what it is like Joe Hendry is coming from another universe, right? The TNA universe, if we will. And I think putting the TNA champion in a situation where he wrestles at WrestleMania in a match against Randy Orton, even in losing in like 3 or 4 minutes, makes him a bigger star going back because he competed against a top guy at WrestleMania. It's not about the win or the loss. And also, did you really expect Joe Hendry to beat Randy Orton at WrestleMania? That wasn't going to happen. Especially when you consider the business going forward is Randy Orton needs to challenge John Cena for the title, so he's not going to lose or even have a competitive match. That's why when people were saying oh, it's Rusev, oh, it's Aleister Black, these guys are actively in that universe. They're making their return to that universe. Joe Hendry was not on Raw Monday. He's not going to be on SmackDown Friday. By the time Joe Hendry is active on a regular basis in WWE, it will be far removed from this match with Randy Orton. And guess what? Joe Hendry will be fine. But if Aleister Black or Rusev would have lost to Orton, that hurts them going forward because Rusev was on Raw Monday. We're guessing that Aleister Black will probably be on SmackDown in the very near future. They keep saying, kept using the number 4 in these vignettes, so I'm going to guess that, I don't know. I don't know why they're using the 4. Maybe he's going to be on SmackDown this Friday. I thought that maybe SmackDown was on May 4th, but it's actually on May 2nd, so fuck me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Regardless, Joe Hendry could take the loss. Orton was great. He got his 20th WrestleMania moment, and it was fine. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. Good match. Very entertaining, very athletic. Logan Paul's on another level. I don't know how a guy with, a couple handfuls of matches like him is as good as he is, but he is. Held his own with one of the greatest of all time in AJ Styles. I don't agree with the finish. I think this was an AJ Styles victory, but I also don't know what they're doing going forward with Karrion Kross and AJ Styles. A lot of back and forth, a lot of entertaining stuff. At one point, Paul hit the Styles Clash on AJ Styles, only for AJ to get right back up and hit the Styles Clash on Logan Paul. Once he didn't do what Karrion Kross thought he should do and use the brass knucks, which were being brought into play by one of Logan's boys, AJ threw the knucks to the side. He went for the phenomenal forearm. It was countered into Logan Paul's pulverizer finishing maneuver, which is pretty sick. what is it, like a fucking TKO DDT type deal. It's pretty sick. Yeah, very legit match. Was very entertained by it. Women's Tag Team Championship, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez versus Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. On the pre-show, they ended up taking out Bayley the day prior, said she couldn't compete. Not a real injury, just a storyline injury. Unfortunate for Bayley, but she'll be fine. I figured it was going to be Becky in that spot. The match was very simplistic. If there was any match to skip from night 2, unless you're a big Becky Lynch fan, I think you can skip this match. It was exactly what it needed to be for this situation. Lyra took some heat. Becky got the hot tag. Blah, blah, blah. They won the women's titles with the manhandle slam. I mean, nothing to write home about. Glad that, Lyra got to be on WrestleMania. She's can I call a woman a stud? Because she's a fucking stud. She deserves to be an Intercontinental Champion. She's delivering match of the night performances every week on Raw. Happy to see my friend Liv on WrestleMania. And, the match did the business it needed to do, which was reestablish Becky Lynch and a relationship between Lyra and Becky, which, of course, we saw that pan out on NXT, and now it looks like we're going to see it on WWE television. Main event, it's what we're all waiting for, John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. A dream match scenario, sort of a circumstance where this could perhaps be, I didn't think it was going to be the passing of a torch, but 2 generations, the ultimate babyface, who's now a hated villain, versus our new ultimate babyface, one that, for the most part, we have not booed since he became this white meat babyface, except for on SmackDown Friday and now in this match. There was a mixed reaction for Cody. John Cena had a very basic entrance. It was his most basic entrance he's ever had. All black, plain font, John Cena, marched to the ring. Cody had some motocross guys. Had a special motocross helmet that opened. It was a skull mask like last year, but it opened. I thought it was very cool. I wonder how it opened without him pushing any mechanisms or anything. I don't know how motocross helmets work. Perhaps maybe this is something that is common knowledge, but I thought it was very cool. And it's going to be very toyetic. Very toyetic next year. I don't know if you guys saw that they just released a pre-order for the Cody and Brandy Ultimate from WrestleMania 40, and I got it right away because I have in my possession now every Ultimate ever made. Yes, right before I got hurt, I got every Ultimate ever, and I'm not slowing down. I feel like I probably should because Mattel has taken a lot of my money over the last 2 years, but I love those Ultimate figures. And sometimes they've been hit or miss. There have been some guys I don't want to buy, but I've become a completist. I've become a completist with the Ultimates, much like I am with my Hasbros. So, yeah, it is what it is. This was a very basic match. This established what needed to be established, which was John Cena. How does he wrestle like a bad guy? What do I say about this match? It was disappointing. It was disappointing because, listen, I knew what the end result was going to be. I think the finish could have been a little bit better. I think it would be a little bit better than it was. And my biggest critique here, because I don't think we got to do the blow by blow here. Cody got some of his shit in, but this was really establishing again Cena. Basic bad guy kicking, punching bullshit. And I do think that to an extent there was the I'm not going to give you what you want type of wrestling, but he also then at one point delivered a tornado DDT, which for a guy who doesn't want to give us what we want, tornado DDT seemed kind of flashy for this version of John Cena. Nonetheless, here are my two biggest critiques about this match. The Travis Scott entrance after the attitude adjustment from the top rope So Travis Scott comes out, his music hits, big pop, because we think that we're probably also going to get The Rock. I don't think the crowd would have popped for that just for Travis Scott, though he is one of the most popular artists in the world. I think there was a feeling that The Rock would also be out there. He sauntered to the ring, took his time, took a very long time for Travis Scott to get to the ring. I mean, I don't know. I think there should have been a little bit more, no pun intended, hustle in order to help John Cena to the ring. Just the long, drawn-out entrance just seemed unnecessary with no Rock involved, right? We don't need that, the pomp and circumstance for Travis Scott. Basically, Cena ends up grabbing Cody, but Cody reverses it, does a crossroads. Ref comes to, goes for the count. Travis Scott pulls him out. Travis Scott and Cody Rhodes have a confrontation in the ring. He tries to blast Cody. Travis Scott gets a crossroads for his trouble. Cena is waiting with the championship belt. Waiting. Cody turns around. Cody catches the championship belt. There is a tug of war of sorts over the belt. Cody gets it. Cena begs. Don't do it. Don't, please. Please, I'm sorry. Cody's thinking about what he should do. And the seeds were planted for this finish. When Cena basically said on SmackDown, are you going to be the good guy that they want, or the person you need to be to win? And ultimately he decided to be the good guy, the person that we wanted. And that led to Cena delivering a kick to the dick, which is my second problem. I know the kick to the dick is how we got here at Elimination Chamber, but we just did low blows in the main event the night prior. We did a low blow again on this night. And, this was the ending of the match, basically. 1, 2, 3. And it just, I knew that Cena would probably win, right? That was predictable, and that's okay. But it's how we got there that I just wasn't crazy about. I don't have a problem with Travis Scott being involved with this alliance, but the fact that The Rock wasn't there was like the common thread that made this happen in the first place at Elimination Chamber. Like, my thought is, if you wanted to turn John and you weren't going to have The Rock, then why didn't we just do this here? Why didn't we just do it at WrestleMania? Like, the Elimination Chamber thing is going to live in infamy. Okay, we turned John Cena. But, like, and I guess you could argue, yeah, well, you did 2 low blows on the same night. You would do 2 turns in the main event, I guess. Paul Heyman turned. John Cena turned. I just feel like the turn would have worked better instead of doing an Elimination Chamber if we don't. Because, like, if The Rock's not there, then what are we doing? What are we doing? I thought we established, like, this modern 2-man power trip that also has rapper Travis Scott. But The Rock's not there. As I record this, a couple hours ago, The Rock was on Pat McAfee to address some things about WrestleMania 41. Here's what The Rock had to say. He said he couldn't be involved in the WrestleMania 41 finish. Or he said he could have been involved with the WrestleMania 41 finish, rather, but instead wanted the spotlight to be on John Cena and the 17th championship. The Rock said that TKO CEO Ari Emanuel called him for help because they wanted ticket sales for Elimination Chamber because they were slow and they wanted something must-see, which is where they came up with the selling the soul thing. He said he wants Cody to eventually turn heel because of how smart he is. He pitched Cody selling his soul, and according to The Rock, Triple H decided to go with Cena instead. The Rock understands that when people saw Travis Scott that they thought he was also coming out. He said he would have adjusted or finessed things a little bit more. The Rock said he called Cody and John Cena after Elimination Chamber that I think the final boss work is done. He liked the finish to WrestleMania, but he would have gotten there differently. He was watching WrestleMania at home. So I don't. Just why be involved then? You know what I mean? Like, I understand the idea of wanting the spotlight to be on number 17, but my interpretation of the thing with The Rock is like John Cena has lost consistently for years now. And in order, without him saying it, because listen, the John Cena character has a lot of gripes against the fan, right? And he's trying to make the fans understand how a normal functioning relationship works. Okay, you can't boo and cheer whenever you decide, you have to be a normal person in this relationship. Very abusive. But I think desperation is what caused him to align with The Rock in order to secure number 17. Even if it's something that John Cena, The Rock is there, but John Cena doesn't see it, see whatever The Rock does, even though he knows it's happening, to justify that, he's the GOAT. It just, to say that the final boss work is done after Elimination Chamber, it had only just begun. I don't agree with that. I mean, like, I also think I would have got to the finish differently too. I know The Rock isn't creative, but he's definitely coming up with creative ideas. Again, he's the one that pitched the idea for the Elimination Chamber. I don't think that it's a good idea. It would not have been a good idea to turn Cody heel, for sure, going into this WrestleMania. And I know we're starting to peel back the curtain a little bit more, especially we got that, the WWE Unreal show coming out or whatever, where the curtain's going to peel back a little bit more. Paul Heyman was saying himself he's not a big fan of it, but if you don't get on board with those things, you just won't be involved. I don't like them talking about long-term Rock wants Cody to be heel and he's planting seeds for it. I like that you can plant seeds and I can interpret it as what might happen, but you're telling me that eventually Cody Rhodes is going to be heel. I don't like that. Because like now it's like, are we going to get that sooner rather than later? I'm not ready for a Cody Rhodes heel. I'm just not. He's a top guy and people love him as a top guy. And we haven't had a genuine babyface in a long time that people love. Not bearing this weekend. Okay, because this weekend is different. You got people from all over the country, and they clearly wanted to like the heels. I don't like it. All in all, I thought the ending of WrestleMania 41 on night 2 was not great, but I did like WrestleMania 41 night 2 overall. I thought it was from top to almost bottom, or bottom to top, almost top. I think it was a very entertaining show. What did you think of WrestleMania 41? If you didn't tell me in the comments on social media, let me know on social media. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit next week. But for now, you had your opportunity to drop your thoughts on nights 1 and 2 and your questions for me on social media so that we could talk about it in a free bonus episode over at Patreon, patreon.com/IronOnWrestling. So sign up over on Patreon, get yourself a free episode, and if you like what you hear there, you can pay $3. It's as low as you can go and get something for it. $3 will get you in the door to get backlogged bonus content, audio, bonus podcasts, all the way back to 2019. $5 gets you the extra video. $9 gets you involved with a Zoom chat that we're going to be doing this weekend. Up and up and up in the tiers to where you can get stuff in the mail from me or podcast in studio. Even though I'm hurt right now, guess what? I'm allowing you the opportunity to podcast in studio with me. So if that's something you're interested in, check out patreon.com/IronOnWrestling. Follow us on social media at Iron on Wrestling. And make sure you subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to the podcast wherever you download it, iTunes, Spotify, etc. Find me on social media. I'm at Gregory Iron on Twitter, Gregory_Iron on Instagram, Facebook.com/TheHandicappedHero. You can book me for pro wrestling seminars and motivational speaking engagements. Be on the lookout on my Patreon for more excerpts of my book, which I've been working hard at. I'm on chapter 6 right now. It's going strong. Very proud of it. ProWrestlingTees.com/Gregory Iron for my shirts, Aaron shirts, Iron on Wrestling shirts. If you'd like a shirt directly from me, you can message me. My GoFundMe is still posted in the link on my bio if you want to support me while I recover from my torn pec tendon surgery. Be on the lookout for more YouTube videos from Gregory Iron is Disarmed as I document my road to recovery. I think that's it. Until next week, thank you for stopping by. Hope you guys enjoyed WrestleMania, and if you want more, go over to Patreon. I'll see you over there. Kiss goodbye.